Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone America's Grandmasters region. Day number 3 of week number 2, as we have more action coming up. We have the Shaman, the lone Shaman of the Hearthstone Grandmasters, make his this weekend. Nalguidan is going to be playing as Murloc Shaman. He's going up against Zalae, who has the Cyclone Mage, and that's going to be a matchup that I think Nalguidan wants another shot at, because Zalae, he has his Cyclone Mage, and it looks pretty standard, run-of-the-mill. Not too much to really call out here, other than the fact that Magic Dart Frog for his tertiary deck is going to be, I think, a crucial switch for Game 3.
Absolutely, especially Shooting Star. The more that I play this matchup from both sides, the more that I think it's Mage favored. I've played Murloc Shaman has been the deck that I've played the most of. I'd say over like the past week. Pretty much every iteration across the board. The greedy version was Languagehacker, the Swamp King or Swamp Queen, the double Earthshock Hex list, pretty much every variation. And it just feels like if you lose your first board, you never win. And it's like Magic Dart Frog and Shooting Stars, it's so easy to clean up those early Murloc boards. And it's hard to snowball effectively when your opponent can just do all those starts. Now, it does have the ability to capitalize when you do open like Coin Angler into Tidecaller Grimscale Oracle, into another reload, into Soul of the Murlocs, into Bloodlust, yes. But it just feels like an uphill battle sometimes, and Nalguidan kind of faced that. He had great starts against ETC in his games yesterday, or on Friday, and just still wasn't able to cross the finish line, despite ETC not even having the best deck against his Murloc Shaman. And he played pretty well. He said he made one trading error, which was not trading into a Silenced Doomsayer that was on the board that could activate the bananas. But other than that, nothing. So, I don't know. I'm still kind of rooting for Nalguidan. I love the Murloc Shaman, and I just love seeing mages get beat nowadays. But it's going to be difficult, especially once Zalae's tertiary deck factors in. Sorry, that was long-winded. I didn't realize how long I was talking until I realized how long I was talking.
Me neither. I was kind of just lost in the sauce.
Lost in the sauce. Frost that buffoon, Dan. Frosted good.
You can't just keep saying it and making it a thing.
It's my favorite saying now.
Oh, Nalguidan throws away the Toxfin. Interesting. I feel like that card is fairly impactful for controlling the early game, but I guess in this case he wants to just have better snowball cards. You know, Zalae is not going to be reliant on giants like you're talking about. In fact, Zalae mulliganed both of his giants away. Didn't even bother to keep one.
Yep.
So it makes sense the more I think about it.
Yeah, Nalguidan got the best lackey when not on the coin.
I wonder.
The Faceless Lackey is a great proactive play if your Sludge Surfer gets dealt with.
Which it most likely will in most cases. Mirror Image, the Tome of Intellect, or the Conjurer's Calling. Mirror Image is like the best immediate impact. Conjurer's Calling has potential for good impact.
But Mirror Image just buys time, and buying time is not necessarily what you need against Murloc Shaman.
Okay.
Because allowing them to keep building up their board just means that it's going to get harder and harder to deal with. Especially once Soul of the Murlocs factors into the game plan, because then even if you have some kind of AoE, it's not enough, because then they get 5-6 Murlocs on the board that can bloodlust and kill you anyway.
Well, Faceless Lackey here gets the cheeky Ankle Biter. Just another regular minion, but can get pinged off. I think Zalae will still prioritize the Murloc. Yeah, there's not really much here for Zalae to do other than just to be defensive for the first couple turns and minimize the damage, which is the key. Another Nightmare Amalgam.
Starting to look like a scary hand. These beefy Murlocs are kind of ones you want to start things off, just because it's very hard for Mage to remove.
Yeah, Spider Tank is still very effective in terms of his stat line here. Yeah, Nightmare Amalgam. Pretty problematic for Zalae to deal with. He doesn't have convenient removal for it. Zalae picks up another mirror image. Oh boy.
Ooh.
Double Sandbinder, double mirror image.
All right.
Ray of Frost, Evocation, Conjurer's Calling. That doesn't seem like a very good hand right now.
I mean, you may have to like coin Sandbinder here, look for the mana Cyclone, and go off next turn with Mirror Images, Ray of Frost, and Elemental Evocation. I think this is one of those times where you don't want to see the Mountain Giant. You'd rather see the mana Cyclone.
I don't disagree.
And Zalae is... he's going to die soon, Dan.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how Nalguidan wants to handle the Sandbinder. If he wants to handle it, he has two options to either just follow along the nice curve, like maybe say play Scargill instead, or he could play double Murloc. But if he plays double Murloc, he kind of wants to protect the Tide Caller.
Absolutely.
Which means that he probably is likely to trade into the Sandbinder. Nalguidan was talking about his previous series against ETC, where Nalguidan was struggling to get that last bits of damage and felt like he didn't trade when he needed to and maybe missed a little bit of damage, vice versa. It's all these like little small things that add up over time.
Dan.
We're in for a powerful...
This next turn... is going to light this board up. Problem is, can Zalae survive?
Right.
Beyond that.
There's going to still be a pretty powerful push after this.
Speak to me.
So, Nalguidan has a maximum of 3 Murlocs he can play this turn. He can play either Tide Caller, Tide Hunter, or the Tasty Fin. Tasty Fin is better for reload in case his opponent has, like, you know, some way to generate a random spell that deals damage to everything. Yeah. The magic trick, for example, hasn't revealed itself. It could be Arcane Explosion, and then Zalae clears a lot of the board.
And then there's the question of, does he trade or not?
Yeah, it's wasted damage to trade, but at the same time, your Murloc Tide Caller is vulnerable, and that thing continues to scale in damage. You have Tasty Fin, which means Murloc Tide Caller's damage potential is even higher. Whew, the trades. He prefers a little bit of a sturdier board, because if he did trade, he would have to weaken his board even further.
Oh my god. All right. Quadruple Ray of Frost, Mana Cyclone. He's got double Mirror Image and the Evocation. So he can play every single one of those cheap spells this turn, play the Mana Cyclone, and then still have 3 mana to play whatever else he gets.
You mean a Mountain Giant?
He could play a Mountain Giant at the end of that. Yes, he could. That's insane. And he has a Conjurer's Calling in his hand.
Oh, Nalguidan biting the lip. Seen that look before when the hand fills up. He knows what's coming. Full hand, and he has 6 spaces, meaning that Giant is playable if it reaches 3 mana. Oh wait, he's 1 card short.
He's 1 card short.
Runs out on me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it was 7. For some reason, I thought it was 8. Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it was only 7. So, but still, hey, just play all these other spells that you got. Throw in a counter spell. Whatever. Who cares? Got a Flame Strike along the way. Has an Ice Barrier. 8 health blocking all of this nonsense.
It's just crazy board swings, and the Mage went from literally nothing to this. And will continue to press in. Hench Clan Hag here, not even able to summon all of its Amalgam types. It only can summon 1. Still an intimidating board, but the counterspell will at least stop a Bloodlust.
I mean, he could just Flame Strike.
Oh, he has a Flame Strike. That's
and then next turn his Mountain Giant will cost 5. His Sorcerer's Apprentice is 100% living. He can Mountain Giant plus Conjurer's Calling. Okay, it's not 100%
Not
living.
100% living. It's 25% of the time living.
Yeah.
Or 20%. Depends if you think of the Ethereal Lackey.
Ethereal Lackey doesn't exist.
Okay, so 25%. And just like that, it feels like this game has already slipped out of Nalguidan's control.
All right, Witchy Lackey into Knife Juggler.
I am stunned just by like how insane Mage's dominance is when it comes to their board swings against these kinds of decks. Like, I expect them to crumble a lot against the pressure. They just don't. Granted, I mean, Zalae still had to have drawn the Sorcerer's Apprentice and the Mana Cyclone on those 2 consecutive turns. Still, it's pretty gross. It's like, in the sense that you feel like you're super far ahead, and then all of a sudden you're not, and then you lose. And now Zalae is going to just Conjurer's Calling. And Nalguidan has the Toxfin, but he can't stop all of this. He has to draw double Toxfin, which he can with the Murloc Tasty Fin.
But then he wastes damage because he's trading the Murloc Tasty Fin in.
Right, and if Zalae is in tune with that, he probably should get rid of the Murlocs on board.
Yeah.
Does require him to trade
I wonder.
both of his 2 health minions, which is not ideal, to say the least.
So this cuts off the double Tasty Fin, which I still like, because now, in order for him to get the double Tasty Fin, he would have to trade in his only Murloc on the board, which is... Did I say Tasty Fin? It's double Toxfin, sorry.
Tasty Fin, Toxfin.
Yeah. He would have to use the Tasty Fin to get the double Toxfin, which means it doesn't work out. It has perfect mana and board space for this hand.
It's just there's too much resources from Zalae's end. Just way too much. He's choosing to play the War Leader first.
Looks like he's not playing Tricolor. He might try and use it for an Angler reload.
Sure.
If he draws it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Try and start start his engine with that. Whew.
So Zalae gonna try and narrow down every possible way Nalguidan can win. He knows he's in firm control. I think he also knows that he's most likely gonna Conjurer's Calling this turn. I mean, funny enough, he even has like Stormwind Champion to help start like picking off the board.
Yeah, he can't do that plus Conjurer's Calling.
Right.
Which is a little bit of an issue. And a lot of his hand isn't that great.
I think it's pretty solid given like what's going on.
Well, I mean, given his board, yeah, sure. Given that Nalguidan has no resources, it doesn't matter what your hand is.
Yeah, I mean,
you could have the biggest junk in the world and still kind of, with this board and a Conjurer's Calling, beat Nalguidan.
Yeah, I mean...
But like, what if he had like Blizzard? What if he had like 3 Conjurer's Callings? I'm saying in the context, the hand could be way better. It would be an embarrassment of riches if it was way better. But
Zalae holding on to extra resources just in case. Bloodlust is not going to do anything. Nalguidan is dead on board. That is going to be game 1 over to the Mage. And I guess slowly but surely I'm being convinced that Shaman does not beat Mage, even though Nalguidan posted his match history and said in practice matches he was crushing the Mages. So it's so fascinating to me that, you know, now that it feels like when time comes for the tournament matches to happen, it's just not delivering when it needs to. Yeah. Maybe it's just the fact that some people that are playing the Mage in practice sessions aren't optimizing as much, or maybe there's something else at play that I'm not thinking of.
I don't know what it is exactly, but to be honest, in my practice, which I said Murloc Shaman is probably the deck that I've played the most, I've been going about 50-50 with Mages when I'm on the Shaman side, and I'm going about 60-40 with Shamans when I'm on the Mage side, with me at the 60. So maybe it's because I've played so much Murloc Shaman that I know how they operate, and I know like kind of those swing turns that I need to go for. there was a chance that maybe other players would have overreacted to the early board state instead of knowing that they needed to hit exactly Sorcerer's Apprentice and then Sandbinder for a Mana Cyclone.
Yeah.
Like, that was, he knew that he needed a big swing turn. He couldn't just keep picking apart the board because he would get overrun. So I do think it's, you know, yeah, you do need that big swing hand, but it's also about knowing how to play against the matchup. And maybe you just don't get that sometimes, but it's still close, Dan. I don't want to say that Mage just blows Shaman out of the water, but it's up for debate.
We'll see. We'll see. Mage is looking pretty unstoppable against the Shaman deck. We'll see if Nalguidan can turn it back and see if his practice can turn into reality.
My name is Paul Nemeth, aka Zalae. I am a professional Hearthstone player. My username was randomly generated when I was playing World of Warcraft. There are very few interesting things that no one knows about me because there's this thing called my stream, twitch.tv/ZalaeHS. I happen to talk quite a bit on that. Check out my stream, tune in, twitch.tv/ZalaeHS. My initial thoughts on the other players in my division is that I'm in pretty good shape. I like my chances against these players. I don't think mental strength is important in Hearthstone at all. It's really strictly a physical game, and everything else is just a distraction. I focus on the fundamentals and the basics. If you watch my stream, twitch.tv/ZalaeHS, you can catch me talking about what's really important, and a lot of it is basic, simple concepts that anyone can understand. The trick is correctly applying all of those concepts turn after turn. Powerful combo decks are awesome. My favorite moments in Hearthstone Esports have definitely been the people, hanging out with other Hearthstone players. Hearthstone people are very much my kind of people. We get along well. I love them. The thing I'm least looking forward to in Hearthstone Grandmasters would probably be getting beaten up by bigger players. You know, it would be pretty cool if I could be first place, but to be completely honest, I don't expect that. Second place, that seems like a realistic goal. I could probably finish second place in the Grandmasters program.
I'm Facundo Pruso, more known as Nalguidan. I think having the same players playing every week will create more rivalries. Like, if I lose to someone in the first round, I will try to beat him more in the second one. I know I'm not that good of a deck builder, but I think I'm pretty good at recognizing what decks are good and how to improve them. Outside gaming, I like to do sports. I like to do a lot of swimming. I think it's very good for me to practice Hearthstone. I do a lot of thinking. Being isolated from the world in the water helps me thinking lineups and decks and that stuff. I don't know if other players already respect me or not. I think fans and people that compete semi-competitive does. At least in my region, I think they do. I'm not sure about the other Grandmasters.
Tomatoes are fruit.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, no, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, legally it might be, but you don't. It's not a fruit.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas region. We have another game of Zalae versus Nalguidan coming up, and I gotta say that tomato is indeed a fruit.
He didn't believe me. And he tried to throw the argument, well, legally, yes, it is a tomato.
Yeah,
But
and factually.
But my opinion is that it's not. Can't argue with people like that, Dan.
All right. Yeah, you are a Hearthstone player, all right.
I guess
Facts staring you at the face, but you just change your opinion anyways.
I've tried to argue with people who present their opinions as facts for years.
Yeah,
and it
you
never
might even
works out.
cast with those kinds of people for years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Never works out. Don't even try.
Yeah.
My recommendation.
Yeah, just send them to another region to cast. It's the key.
with children.
That's right, with little baby-faced UK players. All right, coming up next, we have game number 2 here for Nalguidan Zalae. I think the switch here for Zalae, fairly straightforward. Tertiary deck is going to come in hot. Magic Dart Frog, Shooting Star, and Frostbolt. Those key cards on the right are the key cards being rotated in. No Snap Freeze, no Sandbinder, no Archmage Antonitis.
Yeah, now the Snap Freezes get it, Archmage Antonitis get it. Sandbiter, though, is actually a pretty decent card in the matchup because it fights for board and it also gets you closer to Mana Cyclones, which also happen to be very good cards in the matchup. Now, this hand is, didn't I say coin Underbelly Angler into Murloc Tidecaller, Grimskull Oracle?
It's the nuts.
It's good.
It's
now,
super good.
He may deviate. He may go Murloc Tidecaller into Underbelly Angler. But Underbelly Angler is just so good, Dan. It's so good.
Runs out on me.
I don't disagree.
The only thing that punishes it is one copy of Frostbolt on 2. Or Sorcerer's Apprentice, triple Ray of Frost.
Yeah, it's the Underbelly Angler that has a resilient body and then replaces your Murlocs with more Murlocs.
Yeah.
And remember, this is the first expansion after a rotation. This is the least amount of Murlocs that are going to be in the Murloc pool, assuming more Murlocs get released over time, which means that you have a higher likelihood of hitting what you want. So you can get, you know, another Nightmare Amalgam. You can get another Scargill. You can get another Underbelly Angler. That said, there are a lot of trash Murlocs too, so
Yeah.
gotta be careful.
Murloc Raider, though, which is the
1 mana 2/1.
the trashiest of trash Murlocs, is still just a 1 mana draw a Murloc or get a random Murloc.
Yeah, it's like a Shimmer Fly or like a
It's better than a Shimmer.
Web Spinner.
Better than a Web Spinner.
It's like a Babbling Book.
Definitely not better than Babbling Book.
It's like a Crystalline Oracle.
It's like a Pilfer.
It's like a Swashbuckler. Hogseed is not a Murloc. It is a beast, but it is a Murloc riding a Hogsteed.
And when the Hog dies, the Murloc has nothing to ride anymore. So he places himself onto the board.
So they have read that Aesop's Fable. Oh, a Bluegill Warrior too. That's nice. That's actually really good for removal. I wonder if maybe some of the side decks here from Nalguidan, like the secondary tertiary decks, should include things like Bluegill Warrior to help like answer board states. Not that, or even help you get that extra damage, right? Bluegill Warrior Bloodlust to help add an additional 5 range to your burst.
Okay.
It's just something to think about. I don't think it's necessarily the right answer.
I've tried it. It's just hard to find what to cut because I think I said this when Nalguidan played the other time. But it feels like every Murloc in the deck has its niche, right? It has its place. The only one I can see is like Nightmare Amalgam. But even then, having a 3-drop Murloc doesn't exist outside of Cold Light Seer. So having a proactive 3-drop is important. Murloc Tasty Fin's important. Every Murloc that you see in the deck has its place, and so it's hard to find what to cut to make room for it.
I think I'd probably consider cutting some of the more expensive cards like Scargill.
Scargill, yes, but he has chosen to. There's something that he's missing.
Runs out on me.
Yeah.
Ghostlight Angler.
Yeah. I guess you could like take out Scargill, or you could take out Hex and just play Murlocs, like more like Bluegill Warriors.
Ooh, Blaze. He's not gonna do anything. He's just gonna ping. He is.
Wow.
Letting this Angler survive.
So the thing what Zalae's going for here is what he realizes that if he goes like Sorcerer's Apprentice, double Ray of Frost, Mirror Image, he's spending a lot of resources to take off a Murloc that has already gained value. I think he realizes what he needs to do is try and get a Mana Cyclone and go for the swing turn that he got last game. Right. Or try and get a Magic Dart Frog and go for the swing turn that he went for, or a similar swing turn that he went for last game. He can't just pick off one Murloc and use a bunch of resources to do so and expect to win in the long term. Sure, he can buy himself some time, but he needs more than just time.
It's hard to say. I mean, I totally understand what you're saying. Zalae is looking for the other half of that commanding lock Nalguidan out of the game swing. But without that Mana Cyclone, it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to even withstand the pressure for the next 2 turns. I think he's going to die on turn 6
at
this rate.
But, I mean, What's his win condition if he spends Sorcerer's Apprentice, Ray of Frost, and Mirror Image? Now.
He could Sorcerer's Apprentice Khadgar Mirror Image.
Sure.
And then next turn Frost Nova and like start fighting back for the board that way. It's not amazing though, that's the problem. And then it also increases Zalae's chance of having more dead draws, right? Then it's spells that's out of the hand for Mana Cyclone, so that he has less spells to come back with. It also means his hand is smaller, so Mountain Giant is literally unplayable. Not that he would necessarily want to play Mountain Giant, but this is definitely a tough situation for Zalae to get himself out of. Might be on a Sorcerer's Apprentice. Does end up going for the Khadgar Mirror Image play. I think this is something he didn't want to do, but something he might feel like he has to do.
Yeah, the funny part is Nalguidan actually has a way to check.
Your warrior, Pitch Clan Hogsteed.
Yeah, he can kill the Sorcerer's Apprentice, which I think is the higher value target given the matchup.
Yeah, seems like to me. Khadgar just by himself with 5 cards in the hand for Mage, not scary.
Yeah.
Because at best with Conjurer's Calling, can target a 2-mana minion in combination with it. Yeah, Hogsteed coming out here for sure. And I'd probably even trade the Hogsteed just to have another Murloc on board, pump up that Tidecaller power a little bit more. Alternatively, you can just trade off with your Nightmare Amalgam.
Yeah, Zalae definitely riding the pain after that.
Good news is that Tidecaller is going to go down. And that's almost a full board clear except for the Nightmare Amalgam.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Dan. I think this is a Frost Nova turn. I think if you expend all your resources to deal with this board, you're dead.
I wonder.
Well, it's not all of your resources. It's just a Shooting Star. You would trade into the 5/2 Shooting Star and ping the Angler, which, by the way, the Angler's already generated 3 cards, 4 cards even, right? Because that Beluga Warrior. So all these like extra cards, the right, basically the right half of Nalguidan's hand was what the Underbelly Angler has generated and will continue to do so even more.
More than that, right? Because it's the Murloc Tasty Fin as well. Yeah, I guess just parting ways with Shooting Star is not that bad. I was more along the line of thinking of protecting Khadgar. That was my line of thinking.
So I'm lacking Scargill in this position. Your opponent already used his resources. It's a 4/4. Probably going to favor playing a Tide Hunter just to maximum damage. Actually, Tasty Fin itself.
Yeah.
It's hard to ping from Zalae. Less minions on the board for Sea Giant. Just works out really nicely. Shooting Star again. Cool story. He's doing at 10 damage. In his mind, he's dead to a Bloodlust next turn.
I wonder.
Sorcerer's Apprentice Frost Nova is the play that stood out to me immediately. Hope it lives. Find some Arcane Intellect, some Mana Cyclones next turn.
What to do? What to do?
Nalguidan just has so much gas left.
Yeah, it's like almost no matter what kind of permutation and combination of stuff that I'm thinking of, or like Zalae, what he draws, I don't feel like he get that in a situation. Just more. Okay, this is a pop-off turn. This is a Tavern Brawl hand. What the heck? Just look at what's about to happen here.
Yeah.
Not even a Flame Strike will be able to get him out. Another Bluegill Warrior, by the way.
That's a lot of damage. That's 15 right now. Can he pick up another War Leader would be enough?
Or another Bluegill?
Another Bluegill would be enough. Grimskill Oracle would be one off.
Yeah.
Sludge Slurper, nah, he wouldn't have enough board space.
Well, he played the Coalite Seer before he played any other Murloc, which I wasn't sure if that means that he's going to now play another Murloc. Another Angler. Whew. Now Zalae could draw the Sea Giant. Sea Giant would be a swing and a half. Okay. Eventually got it here. Wasn't pretty. I've seen miracles happen before. And
so what do you even kill with this Ray of Frost?
I think you wanted actually nothing to die.
You nothing to die.
I think what you want
is reduce the health.
You reduce the health, but I think more importantly, you try to go for like a Blizzard Flame Strike combination and then push. And if I'm Nalguidan, I'm sweating a little bit because it's just like
more spells.
That's not really it. Like, I was really trying to see if I can find a way to be optimistic for Zalae, but I think he's toast.
Okay, you don't play anything this turn, and you hope for another mana cycle next turn.
Yeah, no, I think that's right.
Yeah, because you don't need to play Ice Barrier because your opponent can't play minions.
I wonder.
You don't want to clear anything off, so there's no point in Kona Colding or Shooting Stars. So I think you ping to reduce the health of the Nightmare Amalgam.
Yes.
Or no, probably
War Leader.
Yeah.
It's about the same.
Yeah.
Nalguidan on an Earthshock to win. Nothing. End turn.
Done.
The button's green for you.
Job's done.
Finally, the Murlocs awake from their slumber. Woo! Oh no. Oh no. I want to tell you a story. Once upon a time, Nalguidan was in an unlosable position until Dirty Rat kept pulling Doomsayer from his hand.
What is that? Dragonhawk?
That's a spirit of something. That looks like the spirit of the bat.
Oh yeah, it's the two. It has to be 2 mana. Yeah.
You win.
That's it. Zalae going for the Conjurer's Calling. Doesn't hit anything substantial.
And that's the other end of the spectrum, Dan.
Murloc Shaman crushes the Cyclone Mage. That was just a pure beating. That's what I expected to happen, and it finally did. So maybe the answer is somewhere obviously in the middle because you average those results. You don't just say one side or the other. Like if you watch game 1, you're like, well, Mage never loses to Shaman. And you look at game 2 and you're like, well, Shaman never loses to Mage.
Yeah, that's why I said it's close. Like it's a hard matchup to call because it's so snowbally. And that's just Murloc Shaman in general. You get on the board early. If your board sticks, you win the game on turn 5 a lot of times. If you don't get on the board early, you never stick a board, and so you lose the game. Like it feels like it's so night and day with how it operates. And Nalguidan had I wouldn't say like ideal start, but he did have a very good start. And Zalae was just a little too slow. Didn't have the Magic Dart Frog to be able to fight the board early and fell behind.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the second game of this best of 3. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, the concluding game between Nalguidan and whether or not Zalae can take him down.
My name is Christos Sakopoulos. My username comes from when I was a kid. I used to go to like an internet cafe with my friends to play like, I remember WoW and stuff like that. And I just had to make a character one day, and one of my friends said, your plays are phenomenal, so you can just put the name Phenomena there. And I just did it, and then it just stuck. The thing that's unique about my playstyle, I feel, is that I sometimes think about stupid plays that other people would never even consider, and I try to get something out of it. I think people don't pay attention to details like trading or going face. I really pay attention to those things because I think it's super important. Like even one bad trade can cost you the game a lot of times. My favorite memory was definitely when I won my first Hearthstone tournament last year in HCT Orange County. And doing that would just gave me so much more confidence and made me feel like I was free again. I'd say being in Grandmasters means that I've made it to the top players of Europe, which has always been my goal. So yeah, I'm looking forward to start competing again.
Dalaran will be ours! Once we land, you know what to do! No we don't. You didn't tell us to play it. I didn't think I had to. It's perfectly obvious. Bank! I am to be running the bank! I take henchmen for vault smashing and shiny stealing! Plan is obvious! It's a start, yes, but...
You won't get a single coin unless you take care of the city's guards. Let's rip open Violet Hall and unleash the prisoners on the city. That'll keep the guards busy.
Certainly, but that's not...
No! First, we must sow chaos in the streets.
I got rockets. Anyone need rockets? Try to see the big picture. Shiny, shiny, shiny.
We have to break their will before we can loot, you fools!
Please, everyone, please.
Let's strap some rockets to the city.
Oh, big candle. And then we just take the whole shebang wherever we want. Yes! Finally, you're exactly right.
Seriously?
That's dumb.
Ah, weak candle.
Just wait till second gear kicks in.
Yes! It's just like I said. We're going to take Dalaran for all that it's got. It's a genius plan. It's simple. It should have been obvious. And absolutely nothing will go wrong.
So, genius. How do we land?
Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters. Our last game between Zalae and Nalguidan is about to happen here. Who's going to have the final laugh between the Murloc Shaman and the Cyclone Mage? Is it going to be the Whirlwind of Spells, or is it going to be the Underwater Fishies?
I don't know. I think the Whirlwind of Spells, in theory, given no context of whether or not we're playing a video game or not, sounds better.
I'm down with the fish. I think the ocean's a scary place, and so the Murlocs are able to survive and evolve and adapt there. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Murlocs are very scary. If you ever played World of Warcraft, I have died a lot to Murlocs in the past.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there probably dying to Murlocs now with
as we speak.
Yeah. Beta being
if they can, take 2 hours to run and find them.
True. Yeah. But Nalguidan also, one thing to note is he is the last winless player with PNC taking a win earlier on.
That's a good point.
So really wants to join his teammate and take that dub.
Yeah, and Zalae with a win here is one of the top players in the standings at 3-1. Throws away his shooting star earlier.
Whoa!
But he gets Mana Cyclone.
All right. We got ourselves a game, Dan the man.
I mean, it's a game in the sense that Zalae has to draw one more card, and all of a sudden it's not a game. Underbelly Angler on 2, but if he plays a Slurper, he's overloaded for 1. That being said, the Slurper is always good on 1 because your opponent can't hero power it down, so you get in 2 free damage.
Be rushed. Deloa, speak to me.
Nalguidan, what are you going to do? Slurp it up? Slurp it up?
Pass it up.
I'm on the fence still. I think in this case, 30 to 40 seconds isn't enough to really think about. But if my opponent spends the coin to ping it, I'm not terribly upset.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And also, Nalguidan has options next turn.
Right.
He can, let's say now, Zalae, who kept 2 cards, were to coin out a Sorcerer's Apprentice. He has a chance to Sludge Slurper and get the Kobold Aki, which he would have had a chance if he played it on 1, but he wouldn't have been able to evaluate what Zalae's opening hand looks like and have the chance to play Angler.
And a punish! Sorcerer's Apprentice. But Nalguidan can have the Sludge Slurper right back and get the Kobold Lackey, or just play 2 Slurpers. But then I think this goes directly into what Zalae would prefer, which is controlling the Murlocs early game. Wow, what a strong response here from Zalae. Like, he has the Mana Cyclone, he hits on the coin, he has Sorcerer's Apprentice with cheap spells, even has Khadgar to add more defensive measures to stop the Murlocs from snowballing. And despite all that, coins out the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and then Nalguidan responds to the Underbelly Angler. There's a lot happening, TJ.
There is a lot happening.
We're in a completely different parallel universe here than what I thought this game would be.
The crazy thing is, Nalguidan, because he didn't want to overload this turn, didn't go for the Sludge Slurper answer because he wants to have the option to Lightning Storm if Zalae were to go for a Mirror Image Mana Cyclone play this turn. He can answer with Lightning Storm and then follow that up with Murlocs.
Yeah.
Because it would be only 1 and 5 to deal. Actually, it would have been a 2 and 5 because he could have got the Rush Lackey as well. Actually, it would have been a 2-point-something in 5 because he could have got Ethereal Lackey and... Oh, never mind. Well, I guess Zap, but...
So you trade into the Angler. If he doesn't, he could get punished with all the Murlocs coming in. Wow, a trade! This game has gotten so weird, TJ.
Oh, yeah.
It's so strange. Zalae had, like, one of the opening hands in terms of dealing with aggression, in terms of just the toolkit. But a few things happen here. 1, he's ahead on board, which is good. 2, he has Stargazer Luna to refill his hand. And he still has some pretty decent options off that Mana Cyclone. He's got the Frost Nova, Snap Freeze, and Fireball. Ethereal Lackey.
It exists.
The legends are true.
That's a big deal because one of the things that Murloc Shaman struggles with is just killing minions when they can't attack a Murloc into it. And Ethereal Lackey gives that option.
What is happening?
Woo!
Such a strange game. Okay, Stargazer Luna can now come into the play here. But that plays into Nalguidan's Lightning Storm, but he's overloaded for 2. In fact, the overload means that Nalguidan can't play anything that challenges Stargazer Luna. Ethereal Lackey discovers
Lightning Bolt?
Hagatha Scheme! The scheme is really interesting because as this game continues to develop, what if he just finds a way to clear the board commandly once Zalae goes for this like Conjurer's Calling setup? Or is that just way too optimistic because you're going to be developing anyways? Maybe you go for the Haunting Visions, or you just tick the Totemic Smash to get on the board now.
You have Bloodlust in hand, so totems do have worth. So you could do something like a Sludge Slurper over one of the Mirror Image, the 1/1, and the Totemic Smash into the second Mirror Image to summon a totem, and then 2 goes to face.
Okay.
You have
I like
5
that.
minions on board for Bloodlust.
I like it. We're anticipating at least 2 of these to go down.
Or maybe you hold on to Totemic Smash to try and make sure that you can kill Stargazer Luna next turn.
Right, Totemic Smash plus Lightning Storm. That is a pessimistic view of how this game is going to pan out. Zalae picks up Conjurer's Calling. There's an opportunity for Zalae to pick apart the board. He can Hero Power, Frostbolt. He could freeze the board.
He could just Frost Nova and set up for Khadgar Conjurer's Calling. Oh, man. There's so many different lines of play to take here.
I think I like eliminating the Murlocs off the board.
Yeah.
I don't want my opponent to say, play a Cold Light Seer, and all of a sudden it becomes hard to remove. So I like Frostbolting the other Murloc. I think you're just consequently trading into... This works out okay for Zalae. Or sorry, for Nalguidan, because now you can Murloc Tasty Fin. Ooh, the Hag! That's a good draw.
Yeah, that's the better one, I think.
Yeah, the Tasty Fin is just a 3/2 in stats. The Hag, comparatively, is a 5/5. Obviously, it's not as straightforward as that, because it can get hero power down.
Deloa, speak to me.
You can be whatever you want!
Ooh, yeah, that one stings.
He drew no cards off of the Luna. He had minimal gains off of the Mana Cyclone. You know, Zalae played so strong and reactive off that first turn of sensing the lack of Sludge Slurper. And now he's stranded. At least for a couple turns here. And I gotta say that if he knew that his hand would pan out this way, that he'd have Frost Nova eventually, and that he'd be able to have all these like cool Conjure Calling stuff, absolutely, he'd be able to hold on to his Mana Cyclone and Sorcerer's Apprentice to go for a big swing turn. But there's no guarantee.
I wonder.
And also just making sure that you have board presence and making sure that he had a way to deal with the Underbelly Angler was like mission one for Zalae, which he did. But unfortunately for him, he just didn't have the follow-up.
Runs out on me.
Which ended up being the big deal. I mean, he took Snap Freeze out of his deck because there's such a hard card to use, and now he's in a position where he gets Snap Freeze from the Mana Cyclone. Ooh, Murloc Warleader Cold Light Seer.
Good stuff.
Pushes 6, gives him health on his Warleader plus this Amalgam.
Yeah, and it sets up 13 power on the board. So it's 13 power plus push 6, so plus 12 is lethal.
Yeah, it's a lethal setup.
That's crazy. Your opponent's at 29. All you have is a 1/1 Amalgam that has a Murloc, and all of a sudden you're facing with you're staring down lethal possibilities.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Zalae has answers. They're not good answers. Frost Nova is only a band-aid solution. But with 13 staring, 12 with the blood loss, that's 25 damage. Zalae cannot take this. He plays Mountain Giant, he's dead. He could alternatively Fireball the Murloc Warleader, because then the power goes back down to 6, and you're still safe from a blood loss because there's only 15 damage total.
Yeah. I think he needs to try and like pick up the second mirror image or second ray of frost and try and protect the giant and live on the board. So he's gonna have to buy time with. He could fireball this turn and then every other turn until he does pick up something that protects his giant and his life total at the same time. He'll have to get those soon and just buy the time with Frost Nova. So it just feels like an impossible task almost.
Does feel very difficult. I'm seeing either the stall with the Frost Nova, Snap Freeze, or the Fireball. If he plays Giant, he is dead on board, and in his mind, Giant is probably the best way to get the win because he needs to stall onto the board. But Nalguidan with the Bloodlust is going to wrap it up, counting just to make sure, and a massive victory here for Nalguidan.
And Zalae's cat comes to console him after his loss.
Yeah, it's almost like he knew. That's okay, there's 2 winners here. Nalguidan takes the series 2-1, and Zalae gets some quality time with the feline.
Mage is not unstoppable.
It's not, although that game I feel like is a very interesting one to dissect.
Oh,
I know
100%.
I know Ike from OmniSlash does a show with Crane on Grandmasters, just like reviewing games, talking about different possible plays or just insight generally. I would love for him to review this game, especially because he's a fellow OmniSlash player, and perhaps break it down, because the difficult thing is that with each passing turn, there was like 2 or 3 different things that could have happened, which means that you just split off into different timelines, and then it all becomes theorycraft in your mind. And to keep track of all the possibilities of what happened, we don't have time nor the resources to visually demonstrate what's going on. But all we can say is that the course of that outcome of that game could have changed multiple times.
It's insane to think about, right? Because then Mana Cyclone, you wait for a couple more spells to go off, and then how do you analyze that? Like, okay, you could have gotten 3 of any mage spell in the game. So what do you do with that information? It's nearly impossible. But Nalguidan not playing, showing the discipline, not playing the Sludge Slurper on 1, going for trying to snowball later on with the Underbelly Angler to challenge the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And just kind of doing what Murloc Shaman does, snowball into a victory, building up a board that's impervious.
Yep. All right, Nalguidan is joining with us on the call. Can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Awesome. So first win under your belts. You were saying that you weren't sure if you could get a win ever in Grandmasters. Talk to us about your mindset a little bit. How good does it feel to get that first win?
I was really worried to go 0-4 on the first 2 weeks because then, I mean, I know there are a lot of weeks coming, but it is harder, right? Every lose, it gets harder to come back. I was more worried because the first deck of Zalae didn't have like any aggro tech, anti-aggro tech, and he managed to beat me. And then the tertiary had like the frogs and the shooting stars, frostbolt. I knew it was harder then.
Yeah, he didn't draw the frogs, but I mean,
Yeah.
that third game was very interesting.
I'm
as
glad
well.
he didn't draw. Yeah, the last game when he robbed turn 5 to ping, I was like, next turn he can play Giant, but that's not gonna be enough. But at the same time, it's so hard to play against Mage because it cheats so much mana and it have so many random spells that you can't really think about everything, right? Because I think first game he played like 11 or 12 mana in turn 4, and then I don't remember if it was the last game, he played like 7 mana, turn 3. So you can't play around, like, if he can 10 cards in hand, he can do everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times mages do. He did everything in game 1. And you had like a dominant board. He had like half his health, and all of a sudden, from nothing, he went to like commandingly swinging the board and pushing for lethal. It was pretty sick. What was the inspiration to bring Murloc Shaman this week? You're the only person to have brought Shaman, period, to Hearthstone Grandmasters.
So, well, as you say, we didn't have much time to prepare. We knew about the nerf on Monday, and then we had less than 20 hours to test when the nerf were like applied. So the Wednesday, I should spend a lot of time talking with people, and I was watching what people was playing on Master Tours, the qualifiers. I saw like a few Murloc Shamans, but it looks like they all did good. So I should start to then ask people about Murloc Shaman, and someone told me, yes, Lisa climbed a lot with that. So I should start looking a lot of lists and build what I thought was the better lineup.
Gotcha. Yeah, Slissa made quite the rampage with that winning streak on Top End Legend. TJ, any final questions here for now, Nalguidan?
I think
I would like to say that the Murloc list I like it the most was my anti-aggro list. I mean my anti-water list. I think I wouldn't mind if I face Bomb Warrior. I think that list does pretty good versus Water. So
yeah,
that was my favorite one of my 3 decks.
With the Ghostlight Angler, the Hagatha, and the Swamp Queen Hagatha, that's the one you're referring to, correct? Yeah.
Like you can either rush them, and if they clear your board, you have a lot of value there.
Yeah. And I'm gonna ask you one last question. What kind of percentage would you give for that matchup? Who's favored, and how favored are they in the Murloc Shaman versus Cyclone Mage?
So I tested a lot before submitting, and I was doing pretty well. I wasn't expecting that people were going to touch that heavy versus aggro, like Doomsayers and Frogs. I mean, of course you have a deck versus aggro, but I wasn't expecting that much. I think this is still pretty favored. Just that the Sorceress Cyclone combo it can get really hard to beat. But if you think about it, it's like a 4-card combo at least, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, they have it every game. It shouldn't be that easy to have it every game, right?
Yeah, they have it every game, even though it's unlikely. We saw it happen multiple times that series.
Yeah.
We're out of time. Thank you so much, Nalguidan, for sharing a little bit of your insight. Congrats on your first win, and good luck next week for your upcoming Grandmasters matches.
Thank you.
All right, so Latin America, back-to-back wins.
That's right.
PNC being able to take down Muzzy, Nalguidan taking down Zalae. Good stuff all around, man.
Yeah, and Race has a chance to put another win for himself on the board later on in his Paladin Mirror matchup, which should be interesting, to say the least. So Latin America coming up strong on the final day here of Week 2. And now we have no winless players.
We have no
in
winless
America's
players
Grandmasters.
in Americas. Europe and Asia Pacific, I believe, still have some players struggling, which is something to watch, as well as the undefeated players, which will be interesting to pay attention to. We mentioned that Mage will have some matchups that it will be pretty good against, some weak against, but coming up next, we actually don't have a Mage whatsoever. It's Amnesiac playing the Hunter up against Eddie playing the Bomb Warrior. We're going to find out what happens in our third match here on Super Sunday. Don't go anywhere.